Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles, and great millstone to the Akim Akwaf, throughout the four corners of the earth, holding on in sincerity and truth and diligence of mind to the gospel of Lord Amashak Yahweh Shai in these days and times in Brahmanasha, DC camp. A short lesson for the hopeful elect. Yeah, so this a bitter experience, a bitter journey, you know, going through the oil press. That's the adventure of our people, you know, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native Americans, all right, all spread out throughout the four corners of the earth. So our journey has always been, always got to go through that straight gate, man. You know, just to be able to be delivered by the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, time after time after time after time. And it's painful, but it's necessary. That our people, have to go through all this oppression, harassment, ridicule, being a proverb, being addressed with proverbs and bywords and all that stuff, man. Being the donkey, of entertaining the elites of this world, you know, being laborers, all right, being laborers, being field hands on the East Coast plantation, being employees. So that's just the the experiences we have to consider on a regular basis, because it's by the grace of the Lord that we're still here, and to give a testimony and to be able to preach the gospel despite all the ups and downs we gotta deal with. So this immigration drama, man, it's no joke. A lot of folks are just losing their minds, man. A lot of folks are just getting heartbroken, families torn apart. But it's not the first time, these things have happened. You can imagine the chaos people had to deal with during the inter, what do you call it, Atlantic slave trade, man. You know, just the intercontinental slave trade. And then you have to talk about the conquest of the conquistadors, upon our people. So it's just, things you think about, but you don't want to think too much about it because, it just causes so much imbalance upon your mind. So it's better you just focus on the scriptures. So Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 12 tells you that for a man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. Yeah, so these are evil times, man. All the traps, all the snares that Edom, so-called white man, has been laying for our people is just turning our people into what I say, being timid. Folks just waking up all scared, and that they don't know what's going to happen with their so-called economy. They don't know what's going to happen if they lose their job, if they're going to get sick because of all this pollution, if they're going to get raided by by the immigration enforcement, all that, it's like worry after worry after worry. And people just find it hard, to have a sigh of relief. But in actuality, Babylon was not really made for people to have a sigh of relief. Was brought here to serve captivity. But when people begin to forget the real purpose about being in Babylon, they get comfortable and they think they belong to the same club as the Chaldeans, that their opinion, their thoughts, and their votes matter. So it's only the man of the Lord, that understand their place. They know exactly, what to stand against, and they know who their oppositions are. All right, so that's just how it is. That's just how it is, and the elites of Esau are upset that things are not going the way they always wanted to go, despite the progress they're making, and they're desperate, man. To put hands upon the prophets, the men of the Lord. They're desperate. There's one of their major tasks that they would like to see through. So they have to go around about, you know, go around the block just to, just to, you know, pinpoint an exact location instead of going to the location directly. They rather circle the whole block and get to the point. So that's just how Esau operates, man. He likes to play around, and then all of a sudden he just approach all of a sudden. So it's just part of the journey. You have to deal with. So like there's chaos that people experiencing. It weighs hard on your mind. It cannot pisses you off. But what can you do? You just have to let the Lord calm your spirit. You can't do a lesson with a disturbed spirit. You have to learn to put your frustration aside once you're doing the will of the Lord. All right, the Lord is not looking for a hot-tempered servant. You have to be focused on controlling your uh, your your response. The Most High has given us several precepts how to control the tongue. All that stuff, man. The frustration we're dealing with is nothing new, but you just have to pray, Lord, give you the spirit to handle that anger. Scripture talks about the Lord saying that, wrath was not meant for man, and all that stuff. So you have to dwell on that. So get to another quick precept. So like here for my long introduction. So Proverbs chapter 22 and 3. What does he say? A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So that's the issue that a lot of our people have to deal with. They got swept up in those traps that Esau's been promising, for them, coming here in droves across the border. Had to pass through the Darien Gap, and it's horrible. You know, you can imagine how many of them lose their lives through the desert as they're going through Mexico. It's painful, man. As they're going from Mexico, trying to cross the border, the hot deserts of Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and all that stuff, man. So it's sad, that people have to subject themselves to such type of torture, and it's only the Lord that can fix that mindset, man. All right. Proverbs 22 and 3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So a lot of our people that's hell bent of staying here in Babylon and trying to put roots down here, they're gonna have a rude awakening once you know all hell breaks loose. So, and they're gonna be looking for the servants of the Lord Amashaki Awashai on the highways and byways. So you think it's only going to be the southern kingdom looking for brothers? The northern kingdom are looking for people too. Even Edomites be looking for men on GMS. Even Ishmael, even Cush, even Ham. Yeah, so that's how messed up it's going to be. And a lot of people are going to be chastened by the Lord for not taking heed because these are evil times we're living in, man. Chaos, 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 chaos. And it's going to be a lot of pain that people have to deal with. Our people just don't want to let go of their aspirations to grab onto something in Babylon. But if only they knew that Babylon was not meant for them to settle. Babylon is basically a social parts paradise. And you have to have the Spirit of the Lord upon you to be able to survive all the attacks, that have been specifically designed to undermine your psychological balance. All right. So Babylon is basically a fighting ground. You know, it's a fighting ground. It's just so much demonic attacks you have to overcome. All right, all the sickly vibration that Esau keep pushing out into the air, into the airwaves, into the environment. It's having an effect on people, and you have to be spiritual to be able to combat it. So it's a daily challenge, man. You can't relax in this place when you know the enemy is constantly attacking on a regular basis. All right. So Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 66, it says, "And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life." And that's the pain, the curse, has become a burden to our people. The pain, you could see the pain in their soul, there's pain in their spirit. Despite them being able to hold a job and all that stuff, the pain is still there, it's not going away. So only the Lord Amashaki Awashai can bring that assurance, assurance of life, the salvation. Our folks are looking so hard, looking so hard for the opportunity, to overcome their sorrows. But then they realize that with Edom in power, they cannot achieve it. Only the Lord Amashaki Awashai can make that possible. All right. Then it says in verse 67, "In the morning thou shalt say, Would Elhaim it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would Elhaim it were morning, for the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see." So when our people are experiencing so much trauma, you'll be praying that, it should just pass, that it could just go away. But then it doesn't go away. They just wish that those things never happen. They wish that it could subside, but it just would not subside. They're tired of all the chaos and all the oppression they have to deal with day, evening, and night. It's a constant cycle of psychological imbalance. When people do not have a stable mind, this is what they have to deal with. You know, the instability of an oppressive system is just tossing them back and forth like a boat on a stormy sea. Yeah, so this is Babylon, man, the land of it's a stormy land, a land of storms. You know, nothing is stable here in Babylon. All chaos. All chaos. So our people have to learn to overcome that chaos by holding on, to the garment of the Lord Amashak Yahushai. Yeah, because our people are just dealing with all types of upheavals in their spirit, man. Running around, running away, trying to hide from immigration enforcement. It's just a sad way to live. It's a sad way to live. All right. So, the book of Zechariah. Let's see. Book of Zechariah, chapter 1. And let's look at verse 12. What does it say? All right. So this is how the Lord is going to handle business for us. Then the angel of the Lord Yahweh answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 60 and 10 years? This is the time the Lord had to jack our people up with the so-called Babylonians, man. Okay, and he also coincided with the Persian, the Persian Empire, right? So what does it say in verse 13? And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. All right, the gospel. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus said the Lord Yahabashim. That's about what? I am jealous for Jerusalem, right? Jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion, and that's the Zion, with a great jealousy. And that jealousy has not been taken away. And the whole world will feel that vibration of the Most High's jealousy. They're going to feel the intensity of the Most High's jealousy for his people. Verse 15 says, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. All right? The Lord says he is very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. So they're enjoying their conquest, of our heritage. Okay? For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. So they continued to oppress the heritage of the Lord. All right, the Israelites. Okay, they continue just like Ishmael. Ishmael's always putting so much hell on the kingdom of Judah, man. They're basically enemies. You could see the animosity and the hatred, about these Ishmaelites towards the so-called Negroes over there in Africa and the Middle East, even in Europe, even here in America too. These Ishmaelites, man, they always have a vibration of animosity towards Judah. And at the end of the day, it's in the hands of the Lord. Only the Lord can fix that problem. And then verse 16 says, Therefore thus said Lord Yahweh Shemashah Ba'ashem Kakadash, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, my house shall be built in it, said the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. So we're looking forward to this happening, man. It's gonna happen, when the downfall of the heathen has been accomplished by the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. And that's a prophecy that we're looking forward to, man. You could look at the devastating impact of those missiles that landed in the state of Israel. You see how those structures got demolished and all that stuff. So that's a glimpse of what's to come. Okay, that land has to be leveled. Has to be obliterated before the Lord begins his divine renovation. All right. So I'll get some more uh, right here from the book of Baruch. Yes, I don't want this lesson to go too long, but you just have to, bear and forbear, with the gospel, because our heritage is not something you just gloss over. It comes with a heavy responsibility. It comes with accountability, and that's what we have to accept. That's what we have to deal with on a regular basis, man. The Lord is always gonna hold us accountable at some point in time until the Spirit of the Lord Amashak Yahushai, propels us forward into that realm of salvation. Okay, so Baruch chapter 4, verse 25. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from Yahweh Bashim Ashai Bashim Kakadash. So it's the Most High chastening us, right? For thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction. So that's a guaranteed assurance that the Lord has already made certain that this same administration, this same government upon the face of the earth, the government of Edom, the government of Ham, the government of Ishmael, Moab, Japheth, Ammon, they're only going to have to expect the Lord to destroy their hegemony that they've had upon the face of the earth, and shall tread upon his neck. So we're going to take hold of them when the Lord Amashak Yahushai makes it possible. Alright? Scripture talks about the saints taking the kingdom. Yeah. Yes, we're going to take down, the kingdom of Esau, the kingdom of Moab, kingdom of Ishmael, the kingdom of Ham, Japheth, Ammon, all of them. All the heathens of the earth, just like the Lord Amashak Yahushai was going to have those crowns upon his head. Yeah, so it's going to become really evident of who the Lord really, really, really considers to be his chosen. All right. So it's going to be beautiful. Verse 26 says, My delicate ones have gone through rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught up the enemies. See, just like being caught up in the net during the evil times, that's how people became flock for slaughter. All right. People just being warehoused in all these detention facilities, man. And it's just the power of the Lord. The Lord is going to allow all this hell, to blow over people, but only the elect will be able to stand. Okay, the storm, is brewing, and only the men of the Lord, Hamashiach Yahushai, are the only ones that will be able to weather the storm, because a lot of people don't know that this storm that is coming is not a storm for the faint-hearted. It's not a storm for those that are focusing on their so-called job, trying to get that bill paid, trying to get that contract and all that stuff. This storm is going to separate people into the major categories. All right, 1/3 and 2/3. The trial of our faith. That's what this storm is going to be about. The trial of our faith, and you're going to see how much preparation that the men of the Lord have put into the buttressing of their faith. The enhancement of their faith to overcome the wiles of the enemy. Okay, and then verse 27: Be of good comfort, O my children, and cry unto Yahweh Kakadash, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. So that's one thing I've been looking forward to: remembrance. Okay, Zion. That's the Zion. Okay, that's just what it is. You don't want to be forgotten of the Lord. You always want to be remembered. The Lord has already said we're the apple of His eye, so we are held, in high esteem before the Lord, and that is the reason why the elect are being preserved. They've been preserved for that special event, that special conflict when the whole world, exactly that our victory is not by swords and bombs and all that stuff, man. It's not by the munitions of men. It's not by the carnal weapons of Esau. All right, our victory is going to be through our testimony of the Lord Mashiach Yahushai. So it's going to be beautiful that we're going to be able to stand tall, stand faithful before the Lord Mashiach Yahushai, proclaiming His name among our people before all hell breaks loose. Okay, even when all hell still breaks loose, the men of the Lord are still going to be able to maintain their faith. So Amos chapter 1 and 11 says, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. So the judgment that's coming for the so-called white man, the nation of Edom, is diabolical. Okay, that's just me putting it in simple terms. What the Lord has planned, to crush the kingdom of Edom with, if only words can describe it. I mean, if you could see with your own 2 eyes in the future, you'll be surprised. All right, because he did pursue his brother, all right, with the sword. So he's always been on our heels, man. The so-called white man has always been on the heels of the so-called Negro, whether it's in Africa, wherever, even in South America, wherever, man. It's on the heels of the so-called Native American, on the heels of the so-called Latinos. So it's always attacking. It's always on the war path. And then when it realizes that somebody with greater power, greater authority is on its way to bring an end to his rampage, all of a sudden he starts getting nervous, all right, because he did pursue his brother with a sword and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So just imagine, Scripture talks about not letting your anger Abide with you as the sun goes down. Let not the sun go down upon thee while you're angry. Do not walk around, trying to settle scores against your brethren, right? Let not the sun go down upon the anger. So you have to learn to forgive, man. But Esau never had that spirit of forgiveness. Edom never did. They're so desperate, man. If you could imagine all the plundering they've been able to accomplish over these centuries and what they're still able to take till this time, it's horrible. Even in Panama, you have a protest about our people working on this plantation, man. This is it Chiquita or wherever, one of those farming companies. Yes, it's horrible. That our people have to protest just to make a living wage and all that stuff. But it is what it is. It's just the bitter experiences that the Lord is going to have to address very soon. And Esau wants to hold on to that power seat forever. But time is up. Time is up. And let us trust in the Lord Amashak Yahushai to resolve that major concern. Now, Hosea 8 and 8 says, Israel is swallowed up, or Yasharal is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Okay, so our people has become so downright dejected, man. The self-esteem of our people is not what you call on that divine level. Our people are just struggling, man. Struggling left and right. All people always struggling to survive, man. Struggling this and struggling that. You know, it's not a life to live. A struggling life is no good. It's bad for the health. Always got to struggle. Just like the judgment the Lord brought upon our forefather Adam. By the sweat of our brows shall we eat from the face of the earth. And now you add oppression to that from the enemies. That's horrible. So yeah, it's a horrible experience. That everything you work hard for can be wiped off the face of the earth due to the oppressive nature of Edom. Okay, everything you work hard for can be snatched up like that. Okay, even the children that you so-called have. So it's just another experience you have to take account of. All right. So not to prolong this lesson any longer, we go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 12. I'm going to read from verse 14 and 15. Thus said the Lord Yahweh Hashem Ashab Hashem Gakadash against all mine evil neighbors, against all mine evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. Behold, I will pluck them out of their land. Alright, so the heathen are going to be kicked out. Alright, the heathen are going to be kicked out. All the heathen that are over there in the land of Israel trying to stake claims and all that stuff, they are going to be kicked out of that land. So the beginning of that process has already started. You could see the migration of Amalek to Cyprus, to Egypt, to Europe. They're getting out of there because they can't take they can't take the shelling of the bombs. I was talking about I was about to say the nuclear the nuclear attacks and all that stuff. So whether it's a nuclear attack that's happening or is about to happen, they cannot take it. So they have to leave. They'll go charter themselves a cruise line to get out of Ashdod. So it's just horrible, man. It's horrible, to them that they cannot stay put. So it just believes, it just helps you believe that, show that these Amalekites, man, that always want to claim to be Jews, they are not really on that level to have faith. You know, they're not on that level. Yeah, they're not on that level. So they all gonna go look for refuge. But the man of the Lord, when all hell breaks loose, we're not gonna be looking to get out of America by looking for a plane ticket and all that stuff. We're just gonna stay put till the Lord Amashak Yahushai gets us out of here, man. We're not gonna be looking for passports, driver's licenses to flee towards safety. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna be looking for political asylum. That's just one thing that the man of the Lord will never do, and that's why it's a tough job to stay put. To stay in Babylon, waiting upon the Lord Amashak Yahushai. Waiting upon the Lord for deliverance. So it's gonna be a huge faith booster to have a confirmation from the Lord Amashak Yahushai that the deliverance is sealed. All right, your deliverance is sealed. Is sealed in the book of life, and that there's no act of the enemy that can separate you from the Lord Amashak Yahushai. All right. So, verse 15. And it shall come to pass that I have plucked them out. Well, let me see. Okay, verse 15. And it shall come to pass that, and it shall come to pass after that I have plucked them out, I will return and have compassion on them, and will bring them again, every man to his heritage, and every man to his land. So, yeah, we're going to return to the land that the Lord has given us. The Lord is going to help us organize the recovery effort, to boost, the image of the kingdom upon the face of the earth. Okay, the Lord says He's going to make the place of His feet glorious. All right. So just like the Lord, allow the land to vomit us out of it, the Lord's gonna let the land vomit out the heathen too. So that's just balance. The unclean shall not have a foothold in the land of the upright. So that's the point of this lesson. It's a general topic. The bitterness is there, and then you still have the assurances of the Lord Yahweh that we're going to rule the world again. We're going to rule the universe again, in righteousness. So, brothers, you've been edified, and just stay focused, stay humble, and stay diligent, man, because hey, there are storms about to blow, and you have to be, fully fortified, to be able to withstand it. Bashim El Shai, Bashim Shalom.